This is Yumi Sera of the Disability Rights Fund interviewing Risnawati Utami, the founder of Ohana, a disabled persons organization in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. And she's also the chair of the Indonesian National Consortium for Disability Rights. She's recently attended the UN high-level meeting on disability and development, and she's here to talk to us about her impressions and work going forward. So if we can get started with the first question, Risna, what have been your impressions of the UN meetings this week?
Yeah, as a person with disability from Indonesia, I can feel a lot of change happen in the UN system at this moment. During the UN high-level meeting on disability and development, I can see a lot of the UN bodies like WHO, UNICEF, UN DESA. They talk a lot about disability and development. And for me, this is the new era when disability include in the process of a global development agenda. And one thing that I can learn from other UN state parties are uh, all of the UN state parties. They recognize disability must be included in their policy and implementation and also monitoring. And some other UN state parties, they have committed to include disability rights into their national development agenda. For me, this is a huge political commitment that already established around the UN meetings and this last week. So I
That's
think my impression is, as a person with disability, I can feel a lot of change and reformation that happen in the internally in the UN system and also among the UN state parties.
that's a very positive impression that you have. You've also been to other meetings in New York. Could you tell us a little bit about your meetings that you've held with other organizations?
Okay, yeah, I have a chance to speak at the CSO meeting related to the post MDG 2015 with the Indonesian government at the Ford Foundation headquarter office. And I'm one of the DPO that representing about disability inclusive development that has to be put into the post 2015 development agenda, where actually it's the perfect moment for the DPO to speak out to the our president and also the special president in fight for the MDGs. So they think that disability is part of the human diversity, and they start thinking to include us in the meeting series nationally and also locally to talk about disability rights to be included in the national and global development agenda, which is for me it's a good sign for the DPO to be more proactive, to speak out our rights and also to work together with the government in terms of the harmonization of the CRPD into the national and local policies. And the second chance, I also invited to speak at the United Nations General Assembly reception yesterday night with the IDDC, International Disability and Development Alliance, and IDA, International Disability Alliance, to talk about my experience working at the grassroots level through the DRF funds, that I can share how DPO working together to create a provincial regulation that adopt the CRPD principles into the local level. And it was giving a impression that I was saying that no development without inclusion.
So it sounds like you've gotten a lot done, even for your own country,
Yeah.
coming all the way from Indonesia to New York City. That's
Mhm.
great.
Thank you.
What do you think the impact would be of all of your meetings here, your work here in New York City, to your work in Indonesia?
Yeah, actually, the one important thing that I can say is about the connection where I can get a lot of global disability network here in New York City can support a lot progress in Indonesia in terms of advocating the local regulation in Yogyakarta province that we already have provincial regulation number 4 2012, and we need support from other DPOs locally and also internationally, because at some point the network can help us in terms of the resource like materials or advocacy tools that I can use to continue to do the advocacy rights in Yogyakarta. And also I can connect this network to my coalition members to develop more project on advocacy and disability in Indonesia.
Risna, maybe one last question. Out of all of these activities and your work that you are doing in Indonesia, what is your vision and what do you hope will happen in the next maybe 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I'm optimist, and this is also my hope and dream that the government of Indonesia will have a political commitment to include disability and development into the national development agenda. And that means that there will be a national policy that adopt the CRPD, because we are now are submitting the law draft on persons with disabilities that replacing the old law on persons with disability that still doesn't adopt the UNCRPD. And the second is about how government start creating the local policy in particular to create the budget and also planning and implementation and monitoring that will participate a lot more disabled people organization and also person with disability and their families to work together 101 with the government uh, to accomplish the fulfillment and protection of disability rights and at the local level at least.
Risna, that's really hopeful and thank you so much. This is Yumi Sera from the Disability Rights Fund interviewing
Well,
Risnawati Utami of Ohana from New York City and originally, or actually, from Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Thank you.
thank you, Yumi.